Neon lights bled through the humid darkness like wounded stars. Damon Vale pressed his temple against cool glass. 36 floors above a city that pulsed with life he'd forgotten how to feel. 30-6 years old. Billions in the bank, and suffocating in silence. His phone buzzed. Another demand. Another deal? Numbers that once electrified him now felt like shackles binding him to a life he no longer recognized. "Sir, will you be needing the car tonight?" Marcus stood in the doorway, concern flickering across his weathered face. "I'll drive myself." Oh. The Mercedes purred to life. Damon abandoned untouched dinner and unsigned contracts, letting instinct guide him away from sterile perfection into the industrial quarter where warehouses had been reborn as underground venues. The Lucid Vault emerged from darkness like a secret. Graffiti crawled up brick walls. The bouncer barely glanced at Damon's expensive suit before waving him inside. The air hit him like a physical force, thick with smoke and sweat, alive with electronic beats that pulsed from the walls themselves. Then the lights dimmed. She appeared on a small stage wrapped in LED strips. Silver hair cascaded down her back, catching strobes like liquid starlight. She didn't dance to the music so much as command it. Damon had attended countless performances. Funded artists sat through galas where culture was currency. None of it had prepared him for this. She moved with purpose that transcended technique. The LED strips responded to her like living things, pulsing in harmony with movements that seemed to bend light itself. Her emerald eyes swept the room and locked with his. The connection lasted only seconds, but it left him feeling exposed, as if she'd seen through the armor of his success to something raw and unguarded beneath. When the music ended, applause erupted, but Damon remained motionless, studying her with the focus he usually reserved for hostile takeovers. She stepped off stage, thick-soled boots echoing against weathered wood. Everything about her radiated controlled chaos. The vintage leather jacket. The way she moved through the crowd like water, finding its own level. "Hey, Silverhair, dance for us again." 3 men blocked her path to the bar, words slurred with alcohol. The largest one reached for her arm. Damon saw her entire body coil like a spring. "Move," she said. Her voice was low and sharp as broken glass. They didn't move. Instead, the leader snatched the backpack from her shoulder. Her jaw tightened. Damon found himself moving before the thought fully formed. "You should stop." His voice cut through the ambient noise like a blade through silk. The 3 men turned. Their alcohol-fueled bravado wavered under the weight of his stare. Damon didn't need to raise his voice or his fists. Power was a language he spoke. Fluently, they dropped the backpack and melted into the crowd. The silver-haired dancer studied him with the intensity of someone accustomed to reading threats in shadows. "I didn't need your help," she said, though curiosity flickered beneath the defensive edge. "Call it boredom." She tilted her head, silver hair catching the light. "So what now? A thank you or another lecture about safety?" "A drink. To settle the debt of my interference." She considered this, then nodded toward the bar. "1 drink." As they walked, Damon caught fragments of her scent beneath the club's atmosphere. Something clean and wild, like rain on summer concrete. She ordered 2 shots of tequila without asking his preference. "You don't seem like someone who frequents places like this," she observed, salt crystals glittering on the back of her hand before she licked them away. "And you don't seem like someone who accepts drinks from strangers in expensive suits." Her laugh was sharp, musical. "I'd rather dance in lightning storms than live in golden cages." "Vale Media Group, right?" "I know who you are, Damon Vale." The sound of his name on her lips sent an unexpected shock through his system. "Then you know I could give you anything you wanted?" "I don't want your world." She downed her shot without flinching. "I want freedom." "Freedom is overrated. It's just another word for having no one to depend on. It's better than having everyone depend on you." Her emerald eyes found his. "Besides, cages are still cages, even when they're made of gold." The conversation continued as the club emptied around them. She wielded honesty like a weapon. unlike anyone in his carefully curated social circle. When the last song ended and harsh lights came up, rain had begun falling in sheets outside. "I could take you home," Damon offered. She gathered her backpack, checking equipment inside with practiced efficiency. "I don't have a home, but if you're not afraid of getting wet, come with me." They ran through narrow alleys as rain turned the city into an impressionist painting. She led him to an old warehouse, its industrial bones softened by years of creative occupation. Inside, she had transformed the space into something between an artist's studio and a technological laboratory. LED strips created geometric patterns across walls. Stage equipment occupied corners like sleeping giants. A small bed sat beneath the flickering constellation of her lights. "This is where I stay when I'm in the city," she said, switching on a strip that made her skin glow like porcelain. "Not exactly the penthouse suite you're used to." Damon stepped closer, his fingers brushing one of the light strips. But his eyes never left her face. "You're unlike anyone I've ever met," she smiled. And for the first time that night, it reached her eyes. "So are you. But don't think I'm staying." The words were barely out of her mouth before he pulled her against him. His lips crashed onto hers with desperate hunger. She responded instantly, her body melting into his, as if they had been orbiting each other for years instead of hours. The kiss deepened, consuming, as if they were the only two people in a world about to end. Her jacket hit the floor, followed by his shirt. They moved together beneath the shifting lights like dancers in their own private performance. But when he felt her hesitation, a subtle tremor in her hands as they explored his chest, the careful way she moved beneath him, realization struck like lightning. "You've never done this before?" he whispered against her throat. She stiffened. "Does it matter?" It mattered more than anything had mattered in years. The knowledge that she was choosing him, trusting him with something she'd never given anyone else, awakened something primal and protective in his chest. "It matters," he said, his voice rough with barely controlled need. "It matters everything." As they moved together beneath the electric constellation she'd created, as she gasped his name like a prayer and dug her fingers into his shoulders like anchors, Damon Vale felt something crack open inside him that he'd thought was permanently sealed shut when dawn crept through dusty windows, painting everything in shades of gold and amber. He reached for her. The bed was empty. She was gone. Damon stared at the empty warehouse for 20 minutes, his expensive suit wrinkled beyond salvation, searching for any trace that she had existed beyond the lingering scent of rain and wild freedom on his skin. The LED strips hung dark and lifeless, no longer pulsing with the electricity of her presence. She hadn't even left her name. He drove back to his penthouse in silence, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. The city looked different in daylight, mundane and predictable, stripped of the magic that had transformed it just hours before. In his bathroom mirror, he found marks on his shoulders where her fingers had gripped him, small proof that the night hadn't been some elaborate hallucination. "Your 9 a.m. with the Soul Investors has been moved to 10:30, assistant," Alina announced as he entered his office 3 hours later. Her tone was carefully neutral, despite his disheveled appearance. "Cancel it," Damon said, loosening his tie. "Cancel everything until noon." Lena's pen froze above her tablet. In 7 years of working for him, she'd never heard those words. "Find her," he said. "Sir?" "Silver hair. Performs at underground clubs. Uses LED equipment in her act." "Find her." Lena's eyes widened slightly, but she nodded. "I'll start immediately." 3 days passed like torture. Damon threw resources at the search that would have made shareholders revolt. Private investigators, social media analysts, club owners on his payroll, nothing. She was a ghost. No social media presence. No registered business. No trail. On the 4th night, he returned to the Lucid Vault. The bouncer recognized him with a nod. "The dancer," Damon said, sliding $200 bills across the weathered table. "Silver hair. LED lights. When does she perform next?" The bouncer pocketed the money without looking at it. "She's gone, man. Travels constantly. Never stays in one city more than a week." "Where?" She doesn't tell anyone. That's kind of her thing. Damon's jaw clenched. If she comes back, you call me. He handed the bouncer a card with his private number. The bouncer studied the card, recognition flickering across his face. You're that Vale guy. The billionaire. Yes. She won't like that you're looking for her. She runs from people like you. Then she shouldn't have made me feel alive for the first time in a decade. The words hung in the smoky air between them. The bouncer's expression shifted to something like understanding. I'll call, but don't expect anything. 2 weeks became 3. 3 became a month. Damon threw himself into work with renewed intensity, but everything felt hollow. Board meetings were theater. Acquisition deals were chess games where all the pieces looked the same. At night, he drove through the city, searching underground venues and artist collectives, always hunting for that flash of silver hair. Then, on a rain-soaked Tuesday in September, his phone rang. Unknown number, Vale. She's here. Damon was out the door before the bouncer finished giving the address. The venue was smaller than the Lucid Vault. Deeper underground, harder to find. He pushed through the crowd until he saw her, silver hair catching the lights, body commanding the music. Emerald eyes that swept across the crowd and froze when they found his. The performance ended. She disappeared backstage. Damon followed. He found her in a narrow hallway, Kay unplugging equipment with quick, efficient movements. She didn't look up. You shouldn't have come looking for me. You left without saying goodbye. I don't do goodbyes. Her hand stilled on the cables. I don't do staying. Why? She finally looked at him, and he saw something in those emerald eyes he hadn't seen before. Fear. 'Cause people like you destroy people like me. You don't mean to, but you do. You consume everything in your path. I'm not trying to consume you. Yes, you are. You just don't realize it yet. She zipped her backpack. That night was beautiful. Let it stay that way. Let me go. I can't. You have to. Tell me your name. At least give me that. She hesitated, and for a moment he thought she might. But then she shook her head. Goodbye, Damon Vale. She moved past him, toward the exit. He caught her wrist. I'll keep looking. I'll find you again. She turned back, and the look in her eyes was devastating. Then you'll force me to disappear for good. Is that what you want? To chase me until I have to erase myself completely? The question hung between them like a blade. Before he could answer, a man appeared at the end of the hallway. Expensive suit, cold eyes. Something about him made Damon's instinct scream danger. The dancer's entire body went rigid. There you are, little bird, the man said, his voice smooth as oil. Time to come home. The color drained from her face. Victor. The name fell from her lips like a curse. Who is this? Damon stepped between them, every protective instinct firing. Victor's smile was reptilian. I'm her husband. The words hit Damon like a freight train. He turned to her, searching her face for denial. But what he found was worse than confirmation. Shame. His husband, she said quietly. The divorce was finalized 6 months ago. Paperwork. Victor waved a dismissive hand. Meaningless. You'll always be mine, Luna. That's your name, by the way, he said to Damon. Luna Cade? Did she not tell you? How like her to run and hide instead of facing consequences. Get away from her. Damon's voice dropped to a dangerous octave. Victor laughed. Or what? You'll buy me out? I'm worth 3 times what you are, Vale. I know who you are. Small fish in a pond that thinks he's a shark? Luna, let's go. Damon extended his hand. But Luna stood frozen, her eyes locked on Victor with an expression Damon couldn't read. Fear? Yes, but something else too. Something that looked almost like guilt. She didn't tell you, did she? Victor's smile widened. About the money she stole from me. $2 million, to be exact. Vanished the same night she did. Damon's hand dropped. He looked at Luna. It's not what you think, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Then explain it to me. I can't. Not here. Not now. Why not? The question came out harder than he intended. It's 'cause it's complicated. Because you wouldn't understand, try me. But before she could answer, Victor moved with surprising speed. He grabbed Luna's arm, yanking her toward him. "We're leaving." Now, Damon's fist connected with Victor's jaw before conscious thought caught up. Victor stumbled back, blood trickling from his split lip. "You just assaulted me," Victor said, touching his mouth. "In front of witnesses. I could have you arrested. Do it." Damon stepped forward. "But first, let her go." Security appeared, drawn by the commotion. Victor straightened his suit, his expression calculating. "This isn't over, Luna. You know what I'm capable of? You know what I'll do?" He left, but his words hung in the air like poison. Luna sagged against the wall, her face pale. Damon reached for her, but she flinched away. "Don't, please." "Luna, that's not even my real name." Her laugh was bitter. "It's what he called me. What he made me become? My real name is Arya. Arya Chen." The admission felt like a confession. "Tell me the truth. All of it." She looked at him and the walls she'd built crumbled. "Not here. Come with me." They left through the back exit and drove in silence to a different warehouse, smaller than the first. Hidden in an industrial park on the city's edge. Inside, the space was sparse. A mattress on the floor. A single lamp. Equipment in carefully packed cases. "I was 17 when I met Victor," she began, standing with her back to him. "He was told me I was special. Told me he could make me a star. I was stupid enough to believe him." Damon said nothing, letting her speak. "He did make me a star. In his clubs, his private parties. Places where men like him paid to watch girls like me dance. But it was never just dancing. There were expectations, demands, and when I tried to leave, he showed me the contract I'd signed. The one that said I owed him $200,000 for training, housing, costumes, money I could never repay." Her voice cracked. "Was trapped for 8 years. He married me to make it harder to leave, to bind me legally to him. And then, 6 months ago, I found something. Account numbers, names, proof that he was trafficking girls just like me. Not just in this city, but across 3 states. She turned to face him, and her eyes were hollow. "I took the money. Not to keep. To give to the girls he'd destroyed, to help them disappear, start over, survive. I gave it all away. Every cent. And then I ran." Damon processed this, his mind racing. "Why didn't you go to the police?" "Because half the police are on his payroll. Because the girls I helped were undocumented, terrified, with nowhere to go. Because reporting him would have gotten them. Deported or killed. So, you've been running ever since." "Yes. And now you've let him right too." "Me." The accusation hung between them. "You should have told me why. So you could ride in like some white knight and fix everything? This isn't your world, Damon. You can't buy your way out of this. Victor doesn't play by rules. He destroys people who cross him. And let me help you disappear for real. I have resources. Safe houses, contacts. You don't understand. He'll never stop looking. And everyone I get close to becomes a target. That's why I left that morning. That's why I tried to push you away. Because being near me is dangerous. I don't care. You should." Her voice broke. "Because there's something else you need to know." She pulled out her phone, hand shaking, and showed him a photo. A girl. Maybe 16. Dark hair, frightened eyes. "This is May. She's the last girl I helped escape from Victor. She's been hiding in a shelter 3 hours from here. But yesterday, she sent me this." She swiped to the next photo. It was a message written in shaky handwriting. "He found me. He says, if you don't come back, he'll make me take your place." Damon stared at the message, understanding dawning with sickening clarity. "You're going back to him. I have to. I can't let another girl suffer because of me. That's suicide. He'll kill you. Maybe. But at least May will be free." Her eyes met his, and they were filled with terrible resolve. "This is who I am, Damon. This is the life I chose when I stole that money. I knew there would be consequences." No, his voice was steel. "There has to be another way. There isn't. This is the only option. When? Tomorrow night? He wants me at his estate by midnight. Damon's mind raced, calculating, planning. What if we could get May out first? Before you go back? His estate is a fortress. Security everywhere. Even if we could reach her, we'd never make it out. If you had someone on the inside, someone he wouldn't suspect? Arya's eyes widened with understanding and horror. Absolutely not. I won't let you risk yourself for this. You don't have a choice. I'm already involved. He stepped closer. And I'm not letting you walk into that house alone. Damon, if you do this, and he finds out, he'll destroy you. Your company, your reputation, everything you've built, then he'll destroy it. Because nothing I've built matters if I let you sacrifice yourself when I could have helped. For the first time since Victor appeared, something like hope flickered in her eyes. Why? Why would you do this for me? He reached out, cupping her face in his hands. Because that night in your warehouse, you made me feel something I thought I'd lost forever. And because the world needs people like you who are willing to burn for others, I won't let your light go out. She kissed him then, desperate and fierce, like she was trying to memorize the taste of him. When they broke apart, her voice was steady. Okay, we do this together, but we need a plan, and we need it fast. The plan was simple in theory. It's impossible in execution. Damon would arrive at Victor's estate under the guise of a business proposition. His reputation and wealth would get him through the door. Once inside, he would locate May while Arya created a distraction. They had 18 hours to prepare. Victor's estate is in the hills, Arya said, pulling up blueprints on her laptop. 3 stories. Security on every entrance. Cameras everywhere. May is being kept in the East Wing, 2nd floor. I know because that's where he kept all of us. The casual way she said it made Damon's blood boil. How do you know he'll let me in? Because you're exactly the kind of person he wants to impress. Rich, powerful, legitimate. He'll see you as a trophy, proof that he's moving into respectable circles. Her eyes darkened. He collects people the way others collect art. They worked through the night, refining details, identifying risks. At dawn, Damon made calls to his most trusted contacts. By noon, he had what he needed: a credible business proposal, a wire ready to transfer funds, and a security expert on standby. At sunset, Arya stood in front of the mirror, transforming. She swept her silver hair into an elegant updo, applied makeup that made her look older, harder. When she turned around, she wasn't Arya the dancer anymore. She was Luna, Victor's wife. I hate this, she said quietly. Becoming her again. It's temporary. After tonight, you never have to be her again. She nodded, but he could see the doubt in her eyes. They drove separately to the estate. Damon arrived first, his Mercedes pulling up to iron gates that opened after a brief conversation with security. The house was obscene in its opulence. Marble columns, crystal chandeliers, art worth millions adorning every wall. Victor greeted him in a study filled with leather and mahogany. Mr. Vale, what an unexpected pleasure. His smile didn't reach his eyes. To what do I owe this visit? I have a business proposition. A merger opportunity that could benefit us both. Is that so? Victor poured 2 glasses of scotch. And what makes you think I'd be interested in anything you have to offer? Because I know you're expanding into media, and I know you need legitimacy to do it. I can provide that. Victor's eyes gleamed with interest. Continue. For 30 minutes, Damon wove an elaborate fiction about joint ventures and profit margins. Watching Victor's greed override his suspicion, then the door opened. Arya walked in. And even though Damon was expecting it, the sight of her in Victor's world made his stomach clench. Luna, perfect timing. Victor's hand settled possessively on her lower back. Look who's come to visit. Your new friend, Mr. Vale. Damon's jaw tightened, but he kept his expression neutral. Mrs. Cade, we meet again, Mr. Vale. Her voice was ice. Luna has agreed to return home, Victor said, his tone sickeningly sweet. Haven't you, darling? Yes. The word sounded like it cost her everything. Excellent. Then let's discuss business properly. Over dinner. You'll join us, Vale? It wasn't really a question. Dinner was torture. 3 courses of expensive food Damon couldn't taste. While Victor held court, his hand never leaving Arya. Every touch, every possessive gesture was designed to send a message. She belongs to me. But Arya played her part perfectly. Demure, submissive. Everything Damon knew she wasn't. If you'll excuse me. Victor said as Desert was cleared, I need to make a phone call. Business never sleeps, as I'm sure you understand, Vale. Luna, entertain our guest. The moment Victor left the room, Arya's mask cracked. East wing. 2nd floor. 3rd door on the left. You have 10 minutes. Damon moved fast. The house was a maze, but Arya's directions were perfect. He found the door, picked the lock with tools he'd brought, and pushed inside. The girl on the bed looked up with terrified eyes. She nodded, trembling. I'm here with Arya. We're getting you out. It's a trap. Her voice was barely a whisper. He knows. He's known all along. Ice flooded Damon's veins. What? He made me send those messages. He wanted her to come back. And he wanted you here too. He said you were the final piece. Final piece of what? But before May could answer, applause echoed from the doorway. Victor stood there, flanked by 2 security guards. And beside him, looking small and broken, was Arya. Bravo, Mr. Vale, you played your role beautifully. Let them go. This is between you and me, is it? Victor's smile was cruel. See, here's what you don't understand. This was never about getting Luna back. It was about destroying her completely. And the best way to do that is to destroy the things she cares about most. He pulled out a phone, showing Damon the screen. Security footage. Of Damon's office. His penthouse. His sister's house across town. I could end you with a single phone call. Expose every shady deal you've ever made. Every corner you've cut. I have documentation on all of it. Your empire would crumble in days. Damon's mind raced. What do you want? I want her to watch you fall. I want her to know that trying to save people only destroys them. And then, when you're broken and bankrupt and ruined, I want her to come back to me willingly, knowing she has nowhere else to go. Never. Arya's voice was steel. Victor backhanded her so fast, Damon barely saw it coming. She hit the floor hard. Damon lunged, but the guards grabbed him, holding him back as Victor crouched beside Arya. You still don't understand, little bird. You can't win. You've never been able to win. You're right, Arya said, blood trickling from her split lip. I can't win, but I can make sure you lose. She pulled something from her dress. A small recording device. Every word you just said, every confession, every threat, recorded and uploading to 3 different law enforcement agencies as we speak, including the FBI office that's been investigating you for trafficking. Victor's face went white. You see, Arya continued, standing slowly, I knew this was a trap. I knew you'd never let us walk out. So I made sure that even if we don't survive tonight, you won't either. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your accounts. The ones you think are hidden. Because while you were gloating, my associate just finished transferring every illegal dollar you have to a holding account controlled by federal prosecutors. Victor grabbed his phone, his hands shaking. His face twisted with rage as he realized she was telling the truth. You destroyed me. No, you destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone could see it. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Victor's expression transformed into something inhuman. He pulled a gun from his jacket. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. Everything happened in slow motion, the gun rising, Arya's eyes widening. Damon. Breaking free from the guards, the shot echoing through the room like thunder. Damon hit the ground hard, pain exploding in his shoulder. But through the haze, he saw Victor being tackled by FBI agents flooding through the door. Arya was screaming his name. her hands pressing against his shoulder where blood bloomed dark against his white shirt. Stay with me. Please stay with me. Did we win? His voice sounded far away. Yes, yes, we won. Good. His eyes fluttered closed. That's good. The world faded to black. White ceiling tiles. Antiseptic smell. The steady beep of machines. Damon opened his eyes to fluorescent lights, and the weight of a hand in his Arya sat beside his hospital bed, her silver hair catching the morning sun streaming through the window. She looked exhausted, beautiful, alive. You're awake. Her voice cracked. The doctor said you'd be okay, but I needed to see it. How long? 3 days. The bullet missed everything vital, but you lost a lot of blood. Her grip tightened on his hand. You almost died saving me. Worth it. Don't. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Don't joke about it. When I saw you fall, I thought I'd killed you. That my choices, my past, had destroyed the only good thing in my life. Your choices saved 16 girls. He squeezed her hand. I had my lawyers look into it. The transfers you made, the girls you helped, they're all safe now. And Victor's facing 40 years minimum. No. The FBI has been here. They want me to testify. Will you? Yes, for all of them. For every girl he hurt. She wiped her eyes. May is safe. She's with a foster family upstate. Good people. She sent you a card. Arya held up a handmade card covered in crayon flowers. Thank you for being brave, it read in careful script. She's the brave one. So are you. Arya shook her head. I'm terrified. Of the trial. Of starting over. Of what happens now. What do you want to happen? Arya shook her head. I'm terrified. Of the trial. Starting over. Of what happens now. What do you want to happen? She looked at him, and for the first time there was no wall between them. No masks. Just raw, honest vulnerability. I want to stop running. I want to build something real. Something that's mine, not stolen or temporary. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I want to see if what we had that night can survive in daylight. It can. Damon shifted, wincing at the pain in his shoulder. But it won't be easy. We're both damaged. Both carrying scars. I know, maybe that's why it works. We understand what it means to survive. Where will you go when this is over? I don't know. I've never had the freedom to choose before. She paused. Maybe somewhere with space, where I can teach other girls to dance. Really dance? Not perform for men like Victor. They give them back what he took from them. That sounds perfect. And you? What happens to the cold billionaire who walked into an underground club looking for something he couldn't name? Damon laughed, then grimaced at the pain it caused. He found it, and he's not letting go. Even if I'm not silver-haired and mysterious anymore. Even if I'm just Arya trying to figure out how to be normal, especially then. She leaned down and kissed him, soft and careful, mindful of his injuries. It was different from the desperate passion of their first night. This was a promise, a beginning. When she pulled back, her eyes were shining. I need to tell you something. It's my real name, the one my parents gave me before they died, before everything went wrong. It's not Luna. It's not even Arya. What is it? Zara Chen. That's who I want to be now. No more hiding. No more running. Just me. Hello, Zara Chen, he smiled. I'm Damon Vale, and I think this is the start of something extraordinary. 6 months later, Damon stood outside a converted warehouse in the Arts District. The sign above the door read Constellation Studio in elegant script. Through the windows, he could see lights beginning to pulse in rhythm. Inside, Zara taught. A group of young women to move with lead strips wrapped around their bodies. But unlike Victor's performances, these girls danced with joy. With power, with freedom. She saw him watching and smiled. That same smile that had stopped his world the first night they met. When class ended, she joined him outside. Her silver hair now cut short, practical, her own choice. How did it go? 3 new students signed up. Word is spreading. Girls are finding us. She linked her arm through his. We might need a bigger space soon. I know a real estate developer who owes me a favor. Of course you do, she laughed. And the sound was pure lightness. They walked through the city as evening fell. painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. The same city where they'd met, but transformed by everything they'd survived. "Do you ever regret it?" Zara asked. "Walking into that club, chasing me down?" Damon stopped, turning to face her. Around them, the city pulsed with life. Neon lights bled into the humid air like wounded stars. But this time, they weren't bleeding alone. "Ever? You gave me back something I'd lost. Purpose, connection, the ability to feel." He pulled her close. "You broke me open and I'm grateful for it. We broke each other open, and we're still here, still standing." She looked up at the sky, at the first stars beginning to appear. Still burning, he agreed. And as they stood there, two broken people who'd found each other in darkness and chose to face the light together, the city moved around them. Full of stories, full of possibility, full of second chances for those brave enough to take them. Somewhere in that vast urban constellation, another lost soul was searching for meaning. Another wounded heart was learning to heal. The cycle continued, endless and eternal. But for Damon and Zara, the searching was done. They'd found their constellation. They'd found each other. That was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The end.